And it's a great evening on a Friday night at Fish Easy. Thank you for joining us tonight. I can never get enough of these little fry. Well, they're not little fry anymore, but I just love tiger barbs. They're so fun to have. These are the ones that we spawned back in first day of February. And here they are. They're looking good. I haven't lost a single one since I moved them out of the breeding tank into this 10-gallon. And I thought you might like to see them. They're starting to come right up to the glass now. They love to come up. There was a couple of extra fry that I had. These fry were actually rams, and so about 6 rams, and I had the tiger barb fry, so I just threw them in together. They're about the same size, and they've just been growing up just fine together. Not a problem. In fact, the rams look better than ever. There's a few rams in there, you'll see. And of course, I've mixed in a few other barbs just because I needed a place for them. Welcome, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us here at Fish Easy. This is a Friday night, and we're going to be discussing a few different things. I hope you stick around, and most of all, if you are on the replay crew, please mention that in the comment section below. Appreciate it very much. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. We got some great things going on tonight. Not just some new fish, but also some new reports. So I wanted to show you several things and also get into the subject of how I'm using the microworms, or more specifically the Walter worms that I have. And we're going to go maybe take a deep dive into that. But thank you all for joining, and Craig's Catfish Cave is here, and also Red Laser Man. The whole crew is here. It's great to see you. We're going to now take a moment to get an update on what's been going on. As you know, let me reverse the camera. As you know, we're doing an experiment with these 3 tanks. This is Angelfish batches, each one from pretty much a relative of one of the other. These are 10-gallon tanks, and they're set up almost identical, virtually identical. And there's about a good, more or less the same number of fry that you would find here in each one. I did not take the time to go through and count them, and maybe it would have been more ideal, but I'm taking the number of fry based on views, and then they're only a few days apart, so there's 3 days between these, and then 3 more days between those and those. And we're feeding them specifically some foods. Now, I have Dr. Baslier, the small Dr. Baslier, that we're feeding the first tank. And this is the tank. I don't know if you can see them, but I have something to say about these fish. And it's only been probably a week or 2 since we started doing it. This is tank number 2. This is an even number, so they get only it's called Nano Extreme, if you're familiar with that. This is what the product looks like, Nano Extreme. Nano Extreme is a smaller food, but it's actually bigger than the Dr. Baslier. It's, I don't know, almost twice the size, even though it's a nano-sized pellet. So Dr. Baslier, the ones that we use, are very, very small. And here we have tank number 3. Now, tank number 3 is interesting because what I'm doing here in tank number 3 is what we're feeding them, both Baslier and the Extreme Nano. Why? I want to see if there's even a better effect if they're fed both. So in this particular test, on odd days, that's the odd number. This is tank 1. Tank 3 will get Baslier. On even days, they follow tank 2, which is an even number, and then they get the Nano. So I feed them basically only about 3 1/8 scoops in the morning and 2 at night, and they eat it up. They're doing quite well. I have not been as diligent with the water changes, but there's not been an issue so far. I'm going to pick up the pace with the water changes. When we do water changes, each tank is brought down to the same level. You see the mark going across. So I'm hoping to do it once daily, but it seems to be so far maybe once every 3 days, just because I've been away. Hi, Dave's Fish Cave. Also, thank you, gentlemen, for joining. We're looking at platinum angels, and they're growing very nicely. But this is the one comment I have. When I started, the smallest of these 3 batches were these. They were the smallest. But what's funny is after 2 weeks, I think they're the largest. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the small food or what, but they've caught up. They were smaller than the other ones. At least now I can say that they're almost the same size. So let's give them another couple weeks and see what happens. There's going to come a point in time where we'll have to remove them from the tanks. And there's just too many. But with lots of water changes, we should be able to get them fed up and growing quite well until we bring them over to the grow out center. But just look at these. There's something about these. They just look. Do you notice it? Huh. Not sure. And these, which are fed only nano, they're doing okay. But it's interesting that they got caught up. Well, that is the experiment, and that was the point of the whole test. We wanted to take a look at those. We wanted to see. What we really wanted to see was the difference in the food and what it's doing. So what else is new? Let's do some fishing now. While we're waiting for more people, we're going to... I love doing this. I love looking for fish. What we're going to do is probably... Let's see, how do I get this to tilt down? I think what I need to do to get it to tilt down is turn. I need to turn this way. Okay, good. And then tilt. Let's see, how do I tilt? Oh yeah. There we go. I'm going to tilt down so you can see what's going on. I do this every couple of days now when I want to. I don't always, but what we're going to do is we're going to look for fish. We're going to try to see if we've got a spawn. Now, it doesn't always happen, and I haven't looked for about 3 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the top of this egg trap, and we're going to then flush it out, and we're going to use this very handy tool. This is one of the tools that I was thinking tonight, quite amazingly. I'm going to show you why. This tool is extremely helpful. I like it because it is got a lot of uses. Let me see if I can get around here. This is actually made by IKEA. It says IKEA right here. You can see the words IKEA, but I didn't get it at IKEA. I actually got this at a secondhand store, you know, like the kind where they have all the donated goods. This was just in the section where all the pots and pans and things were, and I picked it up. Wow, a nice glass plate. But I use this all the time. Now it's glass, I know that, but I find that keeping glass clean is actually easier than trying to keep plastic clean. But this is what I use to catch and to look for fry or eggs, whichever we have. So let's take a deep dive here. I forgot to get a towel, but I have some paper towels behind me. This is important to remove. I have on occasion forgotten to remove it. Fortunately, it's not been bad. Let's see what we can do. We're going to just remove the lid. This is what the lid looks like. It has a opening on one side. If you can see that, it's where the catfish go in and out. And then on top of the trap, we have a grill, and here's a sample of that grill piece. It's actually the barbecue grill, and it's fiberglass, so you just cut it. Inside the bowl, which the bowl I got from the store, the same place I got this glass plate. And we're going to just lift it up straight, okay? I just lift it up straight and retain the water that's in it. And then I'm going to lift it over the edge and start pouring the water into the glass plate. Okay? So I do this, put my fingers like this on top to keep the marbles in, and just do that. Dump it out. Then I refill it with water, without flushing, of course, just refill with water. And now I dump it the other direction. And I go the other way. So that was twice, and in two particular dumps, I should be able to find something if there is anything. Then I put this back. The water feels quite cool. I have a 78-degree constant heater in this tank, but I think it was just to keep it from getting too cold. I don't really actually think that it's, I don't know what the temperature is actually, but let's take a look to see what I got. Anything. We're going to pull I have a flashlight here. And I just look at it. Now, did we get any eggs? Or fried? Sometimes the eggs hatch already because 3 days. If I'm checking only every 3 days, it looks like there's some food, but no, I don't see any. Oh, that's too bad. Tonight we didn't get any. So stay tuned. There will be, of course, more videos in the future, and in these videos we're going to see what the eggs actually look like. Because I pulled out a big batch of eggs about a week ago, maybe less than a week ago, and it was just jam-packed. I think I must have pulled out 150 to 200 eggs easy. And something happened that was very unusual. The eggs were in this tray, and the other really nice thing about a glass tray is that you can use it with a light as a light table by putting the light underneath. And if you want to look through it, there's a couple other uses I'm going to demonstrate in just a moment. But I took the eggs from the other day. I just took the eggs out of here and I poured them into one of our jars. And when I poured it into the jars, nothing unusual. I thought it would take 3 days for them to hatch. But of course, this isn't much water. It only filled the jar about halfway through, right? Halfway up. So I decided to fill up the jar. And when I took some clean water and I just dumped it into the tray or water with eggs that I had, almost instantly, every egg hatched. Boom. And 10 minutes later, I had a jar full of wiggling, free-swimming fry. So it was the most unusual thing. I don't know what caused the fry to hatch. It must have been they were ready to go, and the agitation or the temperature. I don't know which. When the eggs were subjected to a thrush of fresh water, suddenly they hatched. It was the weirdest thing. I've never seen anything like it. But that happened earlier. I wished I had it on camera. I probably will give it a try to see if that happens again the next time I have some eggs. I'll put it in a jar and try to replicate it, try to film it, see what happens. Don't know. But that's the interesting thing about it. Let me go over to the sink and I will show you those fry as to what happened. So now we're going over to where they are. They're up here in our nursery section, of course. Actually, let me raise the camera. So yeah, so this is Lucipinus, Synodontis lucipinus here and here. I've got 3 batches right now, and I don't know if you can see, but this batch is doing quite well. It's funny that the Lucipinus do the best in these jars. They don't need as much water changes as many fish do because they don't like water changes, actually. The catfish seem to do well when the water is the same. Even I think that they don't have an issue as much with ammonia and other problems that a lot of fish do that kills a lot of fish. But what really kills the Lucipinus is a pH drop, because if the pH drops, they will suddenly die off quickly, and we've lost quite a few because of that situation. But this is the batch over here that we just had a week ago. So let me see if I can stir them up a little bit just so you can get a good look at them. They're quite amazing. I'll put this over here. And we're going to see how many there are in here. Here we go. Okay, let me get the camera over close. What do you think of that? They all hatched the same moment. Hey, Shutter Aquatics. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. Last weekend I was away. I haven't seen your video yet, Steve. It's on my watch list. In fact, there's a lot of backup on my video watching this week because I was away last weekend, so I wasn't able to. So that reminds me, I got to get back to that. But notice, here's one here. You see this one here? This is what we call a bubble. This one won't make it. This one has got an issue. It'll just swim in circles. It's like bloated. But these guys are doing great. Now, what do you feed these guys? When they first hatch, they do very well with microworms. And microworms, because they go to the bottom and they're very small, are perfect and ideal for these fish. And I don't feed these vinegar eels because of the acidity. The vinegar and acidity will tend to harm your Tanganyikan catfish faster than anything else. The microworms don't have that issue, you see. So it is important to select the right kind of live food for the application. Now that you're all here, I want to make mention of a little update on the black rams. We have been watching them. They've done very well in the last few weeks. Excuse me. Sorry, kick the. These are the best group here of black rams coming on up. They are now on baby brine shrimp. But I have learned something. I've lost a couple batches, and I think I know why. This is another black ram batch. It's just, let's see, this is 411, the other one was 404, there's 7, this is a week earlier I mean, these are younger. Looks like there's a good number of gold in here as well, gold rams, gold and black rams. Genetically, they're from the same parents, they just sometimes come out gold, and the line has both. But these, if you look at this batch, I don't see any gold rams. No gold. Now, I've had that happen before once, and that pair I was hoping to keep. By the way, there is another batch right here of German blues. Now, this is a German blue batch. As you can see, if I can focus it right, there's quite a few in here. Wow, what a group. But this is a German blue batch. Now, these took maybe vinegar eels, and they took microworms for 2 days. Once they were free swimming, I fed them those two live foods for 2 days. And now you can see from the waste there, this is the waste of baby brine shrimp. I started them on baby brine shrimp, and on the 3rd day, maybe the 4th or 5th, I kind of kept going with the other foods for a few more days, mixed with a little bit of baby brine shrimp to give them a transition. And I don't know, now I'm feeding them just baby brine shrimp, and they are eating it up. No, Jeff, I've never had an electric blue come out of a black ram pair. No. The blue speckling you see in black rams, I believe, is the same speckling you see in German blues. But I'm not an authority on that. I certainly have not done some testing, and Mayer is probably, maybe he'll join us tonight if he's got some thoughts on that. I really appreciate his genetic knowledge. Let's go back to the black rams just for a second to tell you, yes, there's fewer of them because the batches, there's a bigger die-off. You might even see a few dead ones here. At this age, they die off when they're transitioning from free swimming to eating live food, and then again from when they're going to the baby brine shrimp. So what I did was I backed off on my feeding of baby brine shrimp. And what I found was I keep these on just the microworms and the vinegar eels for a whole week, 1 full week, without going to baby brine shrimp, because I was losing them every time they went to the baby brine shrimp. And I said, you know, what's the reason? There had to be only a couple reasons, and I think it was because they weren't big enough or mature enough to go for the baby brine shrimp. They're definitely smaller than the German blues when they're young. And so what's happening is that they can't swallow. They're like premature, as Steve says. Totally agree with that. And these are the same, it's the same issue with the electric blues. If you've done the electric blues, same idea. They're like preemies. They're just way too small. But they need to grow, and they grow slow. That's the thing. Now I know other fish I breed, like the blue eyes, rainbows, or blue-eyed, they too are super small. But, you know, they grow faster than these. Stillwater is running 3 batches on solely microworms. Very interesting, yes. So they're doing very well in this method. And when I started with the baby brine shrimp, what I was doing is actually just putting a little bit in, not a lot. So that's the big find that I've come across. Now I'm anxious to get a new batch to try out my theories, solely to see if I can't get more past the threshold, because when these hatched, there were 3-4 times the number as you see here. There were hundreds. But there is that die-off at this age where they start to go to eating. Now the Paramecia, I think, also was first number of days. I also have a new system that I'm using for their water changes. So I'm going to demonstrate a few things. Let me show you what I'm doing now for the water changes on these fish. I'm going to back off, as you can see. And what I'm doing now, I'm using what I normally hatch baby brine shrimp in. and it's got this little valve, and I just control the valve, and voila, I do water changes with not the lift tube that you would normally use, say for example, if you were going to lift tube is when you're going to cycle the water from the tank, and then it would go in there and out the weir. But what I use now is this. So let me demonstrate how that works. Several times a day, whenever I get close, I'm in range, I take conditioned water, meaning this is tap water, it's not been with other fish, and I fill it and I condition it with aeration and maybe prime, or maybe no, just time. So maybe 12 hours overnight. Now I have the water and I put it in these bottles, and I'm just going to throw it into my bladder tank. It's like a bladder tank. Just holds the water and drips it out. And it's all set up. So now you see it's starting to drip. Drip, 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 drip. And using this method, I can also put live food in here, and it will drip live food into the breeder box. So now I'm just giving them another fresh. So I keep flushing it out, but I'm not using the water from the tank. I don't know if water from the tank could be used, but I just feel like this is going to make sure that it flushes any level of nitrates that might exist. Of course, I've got a heavily planted tank behind there, so it probably sucks out all the nitrates. I don't think there are any. I haven't tested it though. This too, I have a 1 liter bottle over here, so I'm going to pour in some water on this side. And what I'm doing is basically flushing with the drip method, and these are constantly getting dripped. So you can see here, this one may be slow. I can control the amount of drip using the little valve that's on the line. Here's, for example, the one for this tank. It's just a airline hose valve, plastic, so there's no issues with water. And this one's dripping quite. These are a little older than these, so they get a little faster drip, and I have them on a 2 liter bottle. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me see if there's any questions I may have missed. 150% a breeder box a day. Yes. The dripping, if you drip, you're okay. So SNR fish, wow. Yeah, you know, it's interesting you mentioned that for your plecos using, I'm going to answer that shady grady in just a minute, but I'm going to show you real quick the plecos I have here. They're doing superb. Now, this tank is full of red lizards, and I've got a few little batch of some more of the glow light danios growing in there, but these plecos, they're doing very well. So they get the baby brine shrimp too. They're doing pretty well. So the baby brine shrimp does a real number on them, eh? Okay, so I wanted to stop here, see if there's any more questions. Now, Shady Grady asked a question. My storage tank gets flushed constantly, and I very rarely clean it out. How do you get white stuff floating? Well, that is interesting. I really don't know what the white stuff is. You have to maybe take a video or something and share that with us. Yeah, okay. Because, excuse me. Hey, Hey, hey. We're doing a live stream here. You don't need to be knocking the camera. Mr. Z has joined us for a moment. Okay, so what he's talking about, of course, is this tank here. This is where the water gets conditioned. And I don't normally see, I don't know if you can see me, I don't usually have white stuff or anything. I don't usually see, there's the air blowing in. Huh. Yeah, I don't, because I flush it so much and I'm changing water constantly, it comes in, there is maybe a little mold or whatever, but okay. Okay, so it gives at least an idea of what's going on. Okay, there we go. All right, somebody's trying to stop us from recording. I don't know why. Okay, folks, and let's see. Yeah, I'm reading your question. I don't know the answer. What the white stuff is. I think it's a good idea. Maybe find it out. Jim Jones. Wow. Okay, you're the one that has been trying to get on live in Africa. Wow. What are you doing up so early in the morning? Thank you for joining us. I know you're always on the replay crew. Very popular. Okay, now, let's see, I wanted to go to the next subject, and we did have a trapping, and it was unsuccessful, and this is the trapping. It was time to put the red lizards together. So I do have this issue of trapping that doesn't occur, but as you can see here, there's a tail sticking out, but there is a female, and she did go in there, but she didn't stay. Okay, and the females I have happen to be up here. There's a number of females that haven't bred in quite a while because they've not been with a male. So up in here you'll see them back in there. There's one there on the, you can see near the suction cup. I think there's several of them around, but there's about three females in here. They're not really jumping out. And then the one I already bred from, that we saw the babies from, they're in this tank. So what I do is I take them out of one tank, breed them, and then put them in the other tank and let them build back up.
That looks amazing.
Yeah? You want to say something, Mr. Z?
It looks actually amazing. All the fishes grow like medium size, and then one day they're gonna be big.
Big like that?
Yeah, and then I named some fishes, and yeah, they're gonna be big.
These guys are growing. I think these are ready to go to the grow out center. What do you think? They're getting too big for their tank.
Yeah, there's like a bunch. There's like, I'll get like 50 or 30 or 40 of them, or 60.
Okay. Let's wave to the friends so they can say hello.
Hello. I have a link to my YouTube channel, so it's a private YouTube channel, so I could kind of post it I can't post it out right now, but soon I'll post it out, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Z. Thanks for all your help in the fish room.
I've been in this fishing for more than 2 years.
2 years? Has it been that long?
4
Wow.
years. 3 years.
Okay, and what else in the news department? Let's see. Can you move this stool? I just want to show something else. We're going through the room just right now with some updates. In this tank, the fish are growing very nice.
I'm gonna grow until like a full fish.
I have Macalopinus, Therichthys macalopinus with discus, and they're doing great. They go great together. Not an issue at all.
No.
No.
And if it was an issue, we don't have to take them to the center.
Okay, Steve asked a question about the Paramecia. How long to see a significant culture? Okay.
Don't ask me.
I'm going to show you what you should expect. This was put together on 10. So this was 10 days old. This is 10 days. 10 days. Let's take a look at this one, because right now it's the day is 21, right? Let's look at this one. What do you think? You think that's significant? I'm not even showing the camera. The light. Let's just turn here. Steve wants to see what the number looks like.
It's a 10.
So it's a 10, but today's 21, so this is only 10 days old.
What is that in there?
This is see those little white things moving around? That's Paramecia.
And what is that big thing?
Oh, that is a kernel of wheat that is rotting. That big thing.
Yeah, I can see
So I
a
hope
lot
that
of
answered your
worms.
question. In 10 days, it should look like this.
And in 20 days?
In 20 days, it still looks pretty thick, and by 30 days, it's clear again. You will have already used up. This will be used. This is being used now. That's why this is sitting here on top. I will use it freely from this one, and I sent out an order. Somebody ordered Paramecia from me this week, and it went out today, and it went to the United States of Wisconsin. So I shipped to Wisconsin. I shipped to
Wait, United States consent?
2 weeks. So Shady Grady, you get basically the same thing. 2 weeks, 14 days, yeah? So 14 days, that's what it looks like.
And
Wisconsin is in the United States.
That's far away from Canada.
I guess, well, not really.
But-
It's right next to Canada.
Yeah. But there's a border.
But a ways from us, yeah. In this tank, we've got some more water changes. I did lose a couple fish, and I thought maybe there might be an issue. And so I did a water change, and then,
Hello. Water changes.
yeah, water changes are good.
They
Jeff says, Jeff is from Wisconsin. He says it's in the lower Canada. From Ontario's point of view, it's upper Canada.
Yeah. Mostly, Ontario is like, it's supposed to be down, but actually, it's flipped. It's up.
Yeah?
It's like, here's a Canada. And there's a border in there's Canada and United States.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that episode of Frasier,
It's on Frasier?
Yeah, Frasier's the old season. If you haven't watched that Frasier, that they're gonna get married. There was a border, Canada or Saddle. They were going to Saddle, and that's how you know that's their border, because there was a Canada or Saddle. Because if they went to Canada, it would be a board.
Interesting. I don't think I've seen that show.
Oh, it's a very old show.
Oh, okay.
But have you seen that?
It's
that,
older than you, probably.
Yeah. If you haven't seen that episode, I'm going to try to find it and link it down below. And for you can see the episode that was like practically like.
How are your fish doing, by the way?
They're doing like excellent.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm always keeping the blue light on.
Oh, because you have the glowfish.
Oh, there was a comment. This kid is me when
Oh, he says.
when I was young. I was obsessed with Fraser as a kid. Yeah, if you watch that episode, my dad was a huge fan of that time. So if anybody didn't watch that video, I'm gonna ask Mr. Fisheasy to link it down below for you can all see it and see the video. And that's gonna be pretty funny.
Okay, well, you have to find that for me. So that is Mr. Z and his words of wisdom to us tonight. I did want to give an update too with the other tiger barbs that we have.
Another one?
Another group of tiger barbs. And I already
Wait, no,
showed
there was another comment.
Yeah, he says, our current weather partner, we should still have frozen lakes for part or most of May. Pattern. Yeah, the weather pattern is really bad. I mean, it's been cold. This week is
last
not
week,
freezing, but it certainly has
last week
gotten cold.
I was burned to death. It was so hot. It was like, it shouldn't be that hot in spring. It should be like.
Do you think using exclusively worms from micro, then grindled to white worms would have any ill effects on rams?
For me, it will be like a 50-50 chance.
What do you base that on?
Technology. Outside?
Yeah.
Oh, it would be a 50-50 chance. It'll be a 100 chance. If you haven't even, I have something important to tell. If you went to school, you don't, and my school has something to tell. You don't even know what the group-a-thon.
Well, I think my channel's getting hijacked.
Sure, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's continue the live stream.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I want to go show some tiger barbs, which were raised this over here in number 4. We did some breeding about, I don't know, what is it? What is the date on there? It looks like 402. So it's about, they're about,
402.
yeah, they're almost 3 weeks old.
402, yeah,
3 weeks old right here. Let's go take a look at them. You have to move your stool. He's not really, Mr. Z is not really that tall. He's actually got a stool here and he carries it around wherever he goes in order to get up to where the...
Because I'm like 7 years old. Come on.
Shh. We don't give out information like that. They would never know. They would take you as definitely 12 years old.
Oh, one of my class.
Are you stuck?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. How can I get over there then? I want to get over there to show the tiger barbs.
Oh, these tiger barbs?
Yeah. These are black rams hanging on, and they use a drip method as well. But this drip method is not using the plastic
Voila.
bottles. This one goes straight from the tank up above. Okay, let's take a look at these tiger barbs.
Mostly I love tiger bars.
You see them in there?
I can see it. Excuse me, why are you in there? That doesn't belong to you.
Yeah. Can you not touch the camera, please? That would be helpful because every time you touch it,
I can hold it.
no, doesn't need to be hold. If you hold it, you'll move it. That's the idea of a tripod, right? There we go.
Oh.
Now, these tiger barbs were a batch that were produced 3 weeks ago, right? And I noticed that they have patterns now. Now, the mother was a green tiger barb, and the father was a regular tiger barb, not green. So this is a cross. But just so you know, to be honest and truthful about it, the tiger barb male, the non-green tiger barb, was actually out of 2 green tiger barbs. So he definitely carries the green tiger barb trait. So I was curious as if we put him back onto a green, and at the time I had an extra female, and I put him with the female, and they had a bumper crop. So you can see there's probably at least 200 in this tank. They're everywhere, and they're growing fast.
I have something to tell.
You have something to tell about tiger barbs?
There was a question right here that said, a 50-50 chance of any effects, yes, then wall.
50-50 chance of any ill effects, I guess. Well, to answer your question, I think we got sidetracked.
Yeah.
I don't think that feeding only worms is the best diet.
Yeah,
I
some.
think that having a more, having some pellets or some food that once they get to the size where they can eat the pellets,
Um, my fishes don't eat really that worms. My fish only eats like.
they just eat the fish food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could be too much worms on a steady diet like that. If you really need to test it out, my suggestion would be to simply get side by side comparisons, and so put a batch and try doing that, and another batch with something different, and just look at the different effect. Take one batch and divide it in half, and then feed them differently and see what goes.
For me, I would just put like. I would just get a random tank with a fish, and then
Random?
just like one of small fish tank
Yeah.
with little fishes, and then like I would just put a lot of things until a lot of worms until
But
if something happens.
There is the issue of
Worms.
eating too many worms, and eating worms all the time is not so great.
Okay, we have a comment. Let's read it.
Yeah. Well, Jeff makes an observation. He's had a lot of experience too, and he says too many yeast-based foods can create problems.
Too many yeast foods.
Yeah. Well, the microworms, it seems like they get started on the yeast, but actually I don't add yeast to my cultures, but we're going to demonstrate that tonight. We're going to make a new culture.
Let's continue.
Is that it? Anything else you'd like to add before you go?
I'm just gonna stay here for the entire life.
Oh, I don't think that's possible.
Why?
Well, because it's past your bedtime.
Yeah, I sleep tomorrow I don't have school.
Oh,
So I can say all that.
okay.
The only thing I'm answering that it is too many worms. It could cause a health problem on the fishes. So just take like one. Like don't give them too much worms. Just give them at least like.
That's your suggestion.
I'll just I mean like a small teaspoon.
Well, this is something else to consider, Stillwater. The microworms are not really worms. The microworms, yes, they've got the problem with the yeast being involved, but actually I use it just to start the culture, and the yeast, I don't keep adding it to the culture, and I'm going to demonstrate and explain why. What we're going to do is, I need some worms, so are you ready to do this? Are you ready to do this? We're going to start a demonstration on microworms tonight.
Yes, I am.
You ready?
I am kind of a pro.
Yeah, pro, huh?
A new pro.
Well,
A new.
welcome everyone to the microworm section, and what we're going to demonstrate here is, well, Walter worms are one form of microworms. Regular microworms are another species of nematode, and banana worms are another species of nematode, and there are thousands and thousands of different species of nematode.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's your question?
Banana worms.
Yeah,
That is kind of hilarious. I never knew there were banana worms.
I know. That's a misnomer because they don't eat bananas.
They only
they
eat
were
worms.
discovered under a banana tree, and so they've been gifted the name banana worms. But they're a microworm that's super small. They're even smaller than the Walter worms and the microworms. They're about half the size of microworms. Banana worms.
They're so small.
They're tiny.
They're like more small.
Makes a good fish fry food, but in particular, banana worms are another nematode, and that means what a nematode is it's a creature that looks like a worm. It has a pointed end on both ends.
It's a banana.
What makes you think? Have you ever seen one?
No, but
Are they yellow?
it kind of the dots. Is it like this or like straight?
Okay, we got comments from the banana section, but truth is they are all cultured the same. They're all cultured exactly the same. But I did some work. The phylum, the phylum of the group of species is called Nematoida, and so if I said that right, correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, they all eat the banana worms or the Walter worms or the microworms. Actually, have about a 48% protein content. 48%. 21% lipids, 7% glycogen, and 1% organic acids and 1% nucleic acid. I found that information from a source on the internet. I thought it was interesting.
You know, you could just instead of banana worm, just bee worms.
Well, maybe, but I didn't give it that name. And so the question is, where's Walter? Where's Walter? Where did Walter come into the play? Well,
Walter?
Yeah, how did they get the name Walter? If banana worms are banana worms, why are Walter worms Walter worms?
Maybe from a book called Walter the 40 Dog.
No, I don't. Is
That's
that a book you read?
Yeah, it's a book.
Oh. Well, it's a book he read. I haven't read that book.
It's kind of cool.
I see. Well, I will say this. The worms that were discovered or found, or it was after the name of the individual, and Walter was his last name. And so it was in Germany that these were identified. And so Mr. Walter there was able to isolate them and make out a name.
Walter was sleeping on a log. They found him on.
Jeff has a sense of humor, and I tend to like it.
I love it.
I don't know about your sense of humor. You got the sense of humor of a 7-year-old.
I have a sense of humor of a Sonic the Hedgehog.
See? Okay.
Good luck. Good luck,
Craig. That's what he said. Okay, let's get down to business.
Hey, wait up.
We're going to look at the Walter worm culture. Let's see if I can turn it around. What we have here in the cultures. Now, what I do here is I'm going to just kind of put the camera on this side so we can step over and see, because I'm going to be demonstrating several things here. Okay. Maybe my head will be cut off, but that's okay. So, I'm ready to do some Walter worms. This is what I grow my Walter worms in. It's a tub, and I've poked a few holes in there, very small holes. And don't touch the tripod, please. Yeah, thank you. Now, this culture is only about, looks like maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'm not sure, but as you can see, I'm using something white, and that's because you can culture them in using oatmeal or
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Are we now looking at the wrong thing?
No.
Okay. Just double check. I don't know if they can see everything. You see that? Okay. You can see that. Okay. I don't need it to be held. This is not. You know what these are?
Walter worms.
Yeah. You seen them before?
Never. But
don't smell it. I told you, don't smell it.
Now
they have some smell, and if the culture is getting too strong of a smell, then it's time to change them out.
It's terrible, the smell.
It's terrible, I know. Don't touch the tripod.
That smell reminds me of something.
You know what's good is that they can't smell it. But this is a time when this is ready to go, and that's why tonight I thought we would talk about it. But I'm going to actually do a quick demonstration, especially as you can see, the Walter worms are not crawling up on the sides of the container.
Like usually all worms.
Usually in the beginning they do that. You know, people throw in lots of, they stir it up, or they sometimes throw in the yeast. I use this yeast. I brought it down here. Here it is.
is called fish.
Fleshman's?
Fleshman's bread machine.
Yes, and then some French. So that's what I use. It's just plain red yeast. It looks like a powder, but it's
Kind of smells like
yeah,
bread.
it smells like yeast. So what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate real quick how to take out. In fact, it's so quick. I'm going to take out a bunch without touching any worm. So some people use their finger to get the worms. I don't do that.
Use your
I
use
use
a glove
this.
or use a scooper.
I don't need to. I'll show you why.
You scoop it up.
Sort of, but sort of not. Let's see. I take some water.
You don't have to take.
Yeah, I don't. What happened? I'm out of water over here.
Oh,
I used to have some water up here. Hold on.
just fill the water.
Did you drink all my water?
I don't even drink that water. That water is disgusting.
Oh, good thing. Okay.
The only water is the one.
I demonstrated and poured it all out for the overflows. So let me go to my over tank here, get some water. We keep everybody happy.
Okay. Okay, turn it on.
You're not talking to them?
Okay.
You gotta keep
Meanwhile,
back at the end.
Fishy Z is doing some things. I've first question. What is your favorite superhero? You only have 20 seconds to say it. Now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Well, how do you know what they said?
14,
You're not even
15,
looking at the camera.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Time's up. Let's see if everybody's. Peter. What in the? Okay.
Wait a minute. We're gonna change this around. I need to see the screen. There we go. Let's do it like this so I can see the screen. What did they say?
Let's see.
Hulk,
Hulk.
Deadpool. Oh, look at that pizza fish.
Pizza fish. I never heard about that.
You never heard about that?
And that one. Okay. So here's the one. Red Laser.
Red Laser is one of our subscribers here, and Benjamin Peters saying hello to everybody. Thank you so much. Has anybody raised a question? Did I miss? Eagle Eye.
Mr. Z has eagle eyes there.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
I know about that.
I use my eagle eyes to play sequence.
Sequence. You're good at sequence, aren't you? Okay.
Yes.
Let's move it back so we
I'm
can
a
see the
cheater.
whole thing.
I'm a cheater in
Now
sequence.
don't touch the tripod, okay?
I know.
So now I got some water, and this is how I'm going to do it. In fact, don't touch the tripod.
Get a little bit closer, but
Yeah, I just want to get a little lower. Now you're in the camera, but I'm not. Okay. So I add some water. I use conditioned water so that it doesn't have any chlorine.
because if it has chlorine, it could maybe.
It would kill
The
everything.
worms.
So this has been dechlorinated. So I just use, actually one of these can be just tap water because I'm going to throw it away. But I'm going to just get ready with these two separate bottles. And I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Let's see if I can place them right here for now. I have this nice little,
I can.
no, you don't need to. I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to demonstrate what to do with those bottles. Don't touch them.
There you go.
Okay.
They're not falling off.
Okay. So this is the Walter worms. I'm going to get a piece of paper towel, but this is not any paper towel. This is a paper towel.
Somebody said the red. Somebody said the red laser.
Mm-hmm.
The red laser will be a cool. The red laser will could. It said like the true red lasers will be a good name for a superhero.
It
Wow.
is. Yes.
Yeah.
Red Laser probably is a true superhero.
I think so.
He's one of our subscribers too,
I think so.
but he's a superhero.
So he will like shoot eye beams like a red laser.
So this
Pew,
is
pew.
what I use. It's just a piece
Okay.
of paper towel, but it's not the absorbent type. It's the paper type. Okay. So what I'm going to demonstrate. Okay. Excuse me. I'm going to demonstrate how to remove and get all those Walter worms onto the paper. and I'm not going to touch anything. So you ready? I'm going to lift the lid, so hold your nose. How long can you hold your breath?
For 30 seconds.
Okay. Watch what I do. I lay it down on top, but not all the way. I'm holding up at the end. It absorbs. I slowly pull it back up.
This is one of the challenges I never made.
Uh-huh. And I put the lid back on. Now, this,
It still
I don't know
smells.
why, but at the very end, when it picks up at the edge, it picks up a bunch of the media, which I use is instant potatoes. So what I do to get rid of that last bit of potatoes,
I just put them dump in water.
I dunk the end and just kind of dip it
Dip it.
Shake it.
Shake it.
and get rid of it. See?
Rid of it.
Now, that one I throw away. I don't use that one because it's got the potatoes. But the rest of them go into the other container. And I'm
We're
just,
dipping it like a Super Mario Bros. Okay?
yeah.
Dip it, dip it, dip it, dip it, dip it, dip it, dip it. Dip.
Hey, behave yourself, Mr. Superhero.
I just said dip it.
Okay, so here we go. So I've rinsed it, and now we have, let's see if I can
I can.
bring this up. You can do what? Hold on. Can you,
I can hold it.
here we go. There we go.
There's a lot of Walter worms.
Yeah, a lot of Walter worms in this mixture. And this is just one simple wipe. And you can see it's kind of a whitish. But these are not vinegar eels that might need to get to the surface, and so these will sink to the bottom. But they do last 12 hours.
12 hours
Or
is
more
like
in the tanks, so it's really not a bad deal because the key now is feeding them, and I just use this. I haven't even touched them yet, and I'm going to use this, or I can just pour it in there.
You know, like.
See? So now I'm going to feed, and the reason that it's important is to do it this way is because when I feed, let me turn the camera up so they can see me feeding. When it's time to feed the black rams, for example. All right.
Time to feed the black rams.
Yeah. So when I want to feed them, these are already on baby brine shrimp, but it wouldn't hurt to add a little bit. So if I want to add a little bit, I'm using this particular. As you can see, I'm adding just maybe a number of maybe 1 ounce of water. Boom. And I can control it completely. So one of the things that also I can do is I can add it to my, if you remember, I can just pour it in here. Now I've got worms floating around in here, and they're going to drip in.
Where do you have
So-
worms? There? Or there?
No, they're in the pop bottle. So now I'm going to just use this, and this is controlled so I don't get too much. If you get too much in your breeder boxes, they will die, rot, and cause issues. But by using this method, I have a
Always use a
controlled
method.
amount.
Always use a
So
method.
So that it's controlled. There we go. Cories like this too. I do throw this extra in my cory tank wherever I have cories.
Where's Corey's, by the way?
Well, right behind you there's some in here,
Oh.
right? They love them. They like to dig around in the water and get cory. So, like for example, in this tank, I'm just going to lift the lid, pour some in. And these little fish, well, it's probably too small for a lot of these danios, cardinals, and rams, but when the little worms get to the bottom of your tank and they're on top of the gravel and they're kind of wiggling around, those cories, I have some red laser cories in here. No, not red laser, orange laser. My orange laser, there's some right there, see?
Right there.
Yeah, they're digging around in the substrate.
Can you see it, guys?
So now the question is, I need to start a new culture.
Yep.
That was quick, a quick feeding. And as you can see, using that method of using a piece of paper towel,
Yeah.
it works very good. Now, it's time to change this out. So
Oh,
we're going to
I'm real-
start we're going to start a new batch. And I'm just going to start using one of these packets. It seems like I only have one packet. I might have one other one somewhere, but I couldn't
Let me
find
go
it.
find it.
But this is instant potatoes. I like to use this because it has the least amount of offensive odor.
We have a question.
If you use the oatmeal, I've heard reports that they actually produce and do better in the oatmeal, but the odor is more offensive. So
You mean the oatmeal?
I think I get plenty. I don't think I need to use oatmeal because, as you can see, this with the least amount, it produces more than I'll ever, a billion times more than I'll ever use. So
You're talking about the oatmeal method.
right. So I use this. This is the instant potatoes. Now you can even, some people say you can get this at the dollar store.
You mean Dollarama?
Yeah, I don't know. One of those places has it. You can get it at the grocery store. You buy a box, has 3 packets. It's for making instant mashed potatoes.
Smells like potato.
Yeah, it's dried potatoes is what it is.
We were eating
So we need a
pizza
container.
potato.
I get my container.
We were eating pizza potato. Dang, miss you it. Miss.
I have
dang,
another one of
miss you
these.
it.
It's got
Hey
a
guys.
few little tiny holes in it.
Hey guys, we.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray. Hi, Robert.
And here we're still in our demonstration. We're going
Who's
to.
Robert, by the way? Oh, Ray and Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond.
No. These are the people visiting Fish Easy. That's their names. You see?
Oh.
Red Laser is right there. And then Ray Aquatics just joined us.
Fish
And
Easy.
do you culture blackworms? I do not. And I don't know if you're in Australia or what, because I would love to culture blackworms, but I've never been able to get them here in Canada.
Oh,
It seems as though blackworms are very, very commonly used in Australia,
Yeah.
and they have them there, and we even use the freeze-dried from Australia, but I have those freeze-dried blackworms.
Usually.
But, okay,
Canada's
so
one of the coldest.
what I'm going to do now, I'll go ahead and put this down now. Please,
I'm crouching.
yeah, hold on.
Just give Mr. C 1 minute. I mean, Miss Fish Easy.
Okay, just put it down just so they can see. All right, here we go. Okay, so, excuse me. How can they see if your head's in the way?
I can hold it.
You can hold it. You want to hold it? Okay, there you go. He's holding it. All right.
Doesn't smell it.
But this is the one we're going to put the potatoes in. It's the empty one. So
Potato.
I'm just going to put the whole bag in there.
Peanut
Usually
butter
I use
jelly.
1.5 of these, and then the next time another 1.5. But I only have the one, so we'll just use one tonight.
Better.
And
Just
then we add water. Now, how much water? It's funny because when you want to know how much water, you just put it in.
For me, I'll just use like a measuring cup.
Yeah, a measuring cup, but after you put it in, you don't know where the water goes, but it gets absorbed by the potatoes.
It's like my baby cereal that you
Yeah,
have to put a
you get
little
something
bit
to
in
stir
there.
it with.
You stir it. This is like my.
You start
favorite.
stirring it, and then it gets dry. All that water I put in there just disappears.
It looks
It's like potatoes, right?
yeah, it looks like potatoes.
Actually, you just keep adding water until it has the consistency of mashed potatoes.
Everybody loves mashed potato. My favorite superhero, by the way, is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Is it?
Yes.
Is that because you have a Sonic the Hedgehog suit
Yes.
and all the paraphernalia?
Yes.
Hmm.
I practically like had his toy.
What I need is,
Or water.
I used to have a spoon and I seem to have misplaced it.
Or you could just get a spoon from the kitchen.
I'm gonna go get a spoon from the kitchen.
I didn't do it.
I doubt if you could get out without knocking. Okay. So I gotta, there's the consistency, but it's still lumpy. So I need to make it a little more smoother, so I just keep adding a little water. It's amazing. It just keeps absorbing, absorbing, absorbing. You don't want it soupy. You want it slightly on the dry side. You got one?
Got a spoon.
Okay, we got a spoon. Thank you, Mr. Z. So, using a spoon, I'm just gonna mix it in.
It's a lot of work, by the way. Now it's starting to look like mashed potato.
Yeah.
Doesn't smell like mashed potato.
Well, it is mashed potatoes. This is, you could eat it. You want some? No. I need it for my worms. But it is. It's just mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I don't know.
From the food section at your grocery store. There's nothing wrong with this. Okay?
That was a funny comment that somebody just watched Fraser when he was a kid. If you watched that,
Okay.
you made
So,
the choice.
that's it. And it looks like actually one packet was perfect. We got like a half inch, looks like almost a half inch grow in there.
I like chili dogs.
When this culture gets going, so now I have the potatoes of a consistency like this, and I can just kind of smooth it out. So what I do is smooth it out like that. Kind of make it kind of
I have a
flat.
question, Michael.
Yeah.
Is any of our viewers a girl?
Oh, I think there are. Yeah. Usually Sandy Diamond is.
Girl?
Yeah, she's usually joined us. In fact, I'm
Are you-
surprised if she's not there. I don't remember seeing her name. You there, Sandy?
Everybody, you better watch Mr. Z's video or I'm gonna get upset because practically I'm not that famous, but Mr. Z's famous. So like and subscribe to his YouTube channel immediately.
Yeah, thanks for that shout out. Yeah, we're going to very soon, probably this weekend, I'll be sending out an announcement of when memberships are ready. We've hit 2,000. We're super excited about that. And just so you know, if anybody wants to become a member, they can. If you don't, that's
I want
okay
to be a
too.
member too.
You do too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you have a
So now, next step. What's next? What goes on top of the mashed
worms.
potatoes?
I have a question. Do you have
You
a
do the worms, but I use the, I put the yeast next.
Oh yeah. I have a question, Michael. Do you have like a YouTube play button?
No.
Why?
Why? Because they haven't sent it to me yet.
Uh,
Okay, so here we go. I sprinkle. I'm just going to here. I usually use for my Paramecia one of these scoops, 1/32.
I'll be
Jeff,
right
I
back.
sent you some of these. I know you asked for them. It's really at 1/32 of a teaspoon. I use 3 of those of the yeast in each one of those bottles, and then now I'm just going to demonstrate putting in some yeast. I just kind of sprinkle it across the top. I know some people work it in and everything. I'm just like, this would be like putting like powdered sugar on your French toast or something. Just kind of sprinkle it on top. I don't do much more than that. It's not that much. It's just to kickstart everything. And you can just kind of work it maybe a little bit on the top bit. I don't see a need to go deeper. And now let's just put in the worms. I take the spoon. I'm going to just kind of skim off the top of the culture and put it in here. A good little bit. I think if you add too much of the yeast, it tends to make the culture more on the smelly side. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to lift the lid again. Hold my breath. This batch is kind of well past due. And I'm just going to take off the top. Good number like that. You can see it. Add it to one. I'll spread it a little bit.
Michael, I know how many to get a silver play button. 1,000.
Oh, okay, 1,000. So we're looking for 1,000.
YouTube subscribers. So
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need 1,000.
We need 1,000. So tell your friends and neighbors.
Please subscribe to Mr. Z to you. Mr.
So-
Z.
So
Mr.
I don't have to add a whole lot.
Mr. Z. Mr.
This,
Fishy Z to
as
you.
you can see, the culture, even this one that was starting to go, giving it a good stir from time to time is not a bad idea. Although this is not worth keeping.
Michael, how many subscribers do you have?
We have 2,000. We just hit 2,000. That's the great news.
So they should be sending you the play button by now.
I thought you said
1,000.
1,000? No, you said 10,000, huh?
No,
1,000?
I don't know. 10,000 or
You
1,000?
just went and looked it up.
I'm gonna go check again.
Okay. Tell me what it is. Okay. Put this back on.
Oh,
It's very strong. I keep it in the lower section of the fish room. So as you can see down here, I keep it down with my worms. These down here, the grindle worms down here. And I keep these even lower. They don't need to be super hot, so I keep them on the lowest shelf. And there you have it. The starter, it just has a thin layer of the culture that's put on top. It's mostly potatoes, and that's it. I'm just gonna let it sit now for a few weeks. Check it out later. And then when this is up and going and I can harvest from it, then I will get rid of the old culture.
we have some bad news. It takes 100,000.
100,000. Okay, 100,000. So we need 100,000
So
subscribers.
please, I'm gonna check everybody in my class to subscribe to Mr. Z's YouTube channel.
Okay.
I hope we get 1,000 YouTube.
100,000?
100,000, yeah.
Okay.
And then if we get, that will give us a silver play.
Well,
Yay.
if there's any questions, that is a simple method that I use to feeding
Walter
Walter worms. Thank you. So we're feeding Walter worms, and we're also feeding in here vinegar eels. I can put them also in this feeder system. It's actually a water change system, but it also acts as a feeder system.
Feeder system
And-
always works.
Yeah, it's kind of nifty, huh? And then there's also the fact that we have the two in combination. We can give them some difference. Sometimes the German rams go up to the top and they hang out at the surface level for a number of days before they actually drop down below, but not always. And I haven't figured out exactly why some batches do and some batches don't. What we just saw there a moment ago was a German blue ram, very large group of fry, and they never went to the top. They stayed at the bottom, and they're just kind of in a cloud going back and forth in the breeder box. So what's the answer? Why do they go to the top sometimes? But if I see them going to the top, I make sure I have vinegar eels in there. And then, of course, I can still add some of the Walter worms, and they'll go down. And that's the nutrition they need to get them past or grown to a size where they can eat the baby brine shrimp. The baby brine shrimp are just a natural way of eating. I mean, they're inclined to naturally eat those right away. Anything else you want to add before we close? We have some really surprise ending for them, but Nope.
I hope I get a game of Sonic Frontiers. If you want, guys, you could just go. If it's not free, the Sonic Frontiers, but if you get it, tell me.
You're right. Kuro works. It was 100,000. He went and checked. I don't know how he found out, but
Me? I just searched
yeast
Google.
multiplies. Okay, well that might explain why yeah
Mr. Beast is one of the most famous ones.
Mr. Beast, huh?
He's more famous than
Okay.
anybody.
We're going to look at some new fish in the fish room, and looks like we scared them away. They're very shy. They're in here.
I'm gonna be leaving after this life.
Okay. There they are. You see them back there? Anybody know what that is?
Let me see.
No, not you. I'm asking the people viewing.
Okay, everybody.
Here he comes
you
out.
have 20 seconds.
Or maybe this is the female.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
If that Fricatus would get out of the way.
10. Everybody know what is that?
It's got black and white stripes. It's a pair. This pair of fish spawn in very low pH. Conditions seem to be that they need to be in 5.5 to 6 pH in order to spawn. We're going to test that out, of course. Oh, there's the other one. Now we have two. They tend to love their little arch decoration. There's a hole in there they can dive into if they want. Sometimes, Steve, there is a die-off when they go to the top. Sometimes they're not. It just depends. Stillwater has got a good suggestion. Try, when they're at the top, I've used the powdered fry food, and it kind of tends to stay on the surface, and they're picking at it. But for some reason, when they go to the top, I notice that they're just kind of hanging out there. Don't know why. Oh, they've been showing off, this couple. A little shy tonight, but they're new. And this is a species that the female is more brilliantly colored. Oh, you're leaving now, Mr. Z?
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, Mr. Z says goodnight.
Everybody sleep tight and subscribe to Mr. Z. Like and subscribe and work on it.
Okay, good night. Oh, we had a visit from Mr. Z tonight. That was quite a surprise. It is not an apisto. They are not apistos. They are cichlids. I think that's pretty self-evident. These fish, if the male wants to spawn, the female is in jeopardy of getting harassed to death, very much like a black ram and other fish that are like that, so plenty of hiding spots are a good idea. Anybody want to take a shot at what genus they are? I do not know of any common name for these yet. But they do have a common name. I don't know if we're going to get lucky and they're going to come out into the light for us to see. I got an idea. Let's throw some Daphne in there. See what happens. Yeah. Yeah, they're in the dark. That's probably why you can't see. I'm gonna go grab my Daphnia net. Okay. I'll leave that shining on them. If I can get the glare out of the way. Let me see. Just gonna get the glare out of the way. There we go. I'm gonna throw some Daphnia in there. See what happens. I have Daphnia here. A Daphnia net. And right below the tank is some Daphnia. And I've been conditioning them up with Daphnia and also brine shrimp and grindleworms. Okay, the Daphnia just went into the tank. Let's hope Mr. Fricatus doesn't eat them all. I'm going to step back because that might be a factor as well. I may need to step back so that they're not feeling like... You see the Daphnia starting to float through? I see Daphnia coming in. And of course, oh, she did come out. Look at that. She saw the Daphnia. Oh, and whenever they get close, they start doing their little dance. Oh yeah, they're getting excited now. They're very quick. You know, it's funny you mentioned, oh, there go the lights. Alexa, fish room on. Sorry about that. Usually if I turn the lights right back on quickly, the fish don't seem to be affected by the lights out. Of course, if the lights were out for a while, then... There it goes. It's starting to... Some Daphnia floating in by them. They like that arch though. It's kind of a... It was just happened to be the item I threw in there. It's got a hole on the top. You can go in from the bottom and then go through the inside of the device. Go out the top. We're trying to identify these fish. A new species into the fish room tonight. They've got black and white striping on their tails. I'm trying to coax them out with some Daphnia. Here's another hint. It's easy to sex them. The female is more colorful than the males. Hence the name. That's my hint for the night. The female also has a very rosy belly. So she's a fancy lady, huh? Well, yeah, she's fancy lady, all right. She's the colorful one. Males, Jeff, that is a good guess. Wrong genus, but close. You've got the right continent now. Yes, these are West Africans. West African cichlids. They are not cribs. They are not atromaculatus. Evan, you're looking at the rainbow. That is a furcatus, blue eye. But we're looking at the cichlids in the tank that are hiding. They're trying to come out, but they don't want to. Nope, that's not it either. Archocentris, nope. Making everybody put their thinking caps on. I find that they have a funny look to them in that they've got like this big mouth look, like they've got big lips. It's kind of a little white on their lips too. Kind of interesting. This fish genus is a low pH African fish. Yes. Indeed. Nanochromis. Nanochromis. In the species, I gave it away by saying that the females are more beautiful than the males. Well, we'll have to wait till a future episode. If I only had them a few days, so it turns out that with just a few days, they haven't had time to really settle in and feel comfortable yet. So it's kind of a surprise, you know. Let's take a look at our other Africans here. We have another set of African cichlids. Before we go, I will announce that these are actually called Nanochromis. Oop, she went in the cave. Now she's out. See, she's doing all kinds of in and out of the caves. They were behaving like this at the store, and that's why we picked out the pair. Not cheap, very expensive compared to a crib or anything like that. But think of a transvestite. Transvestius is their name, and transvestius comes from the idea that females are more beautiful than the males, so they're like, you know, it's kind of the reverse of what normally is the case in the animal kingdom. Think of a cardinal. Around here in Canada, the males are obviously more beautiful. Reverse sexual dimorphism, yes. Male's kind of bland, but the female, she's just very nice. Let's take a look over here. I'm going to throw some, these fish, this pair here hasn't spawned yet. This pair here, as you know, I may have already mentioned what these are. You can see them in the back. That's the male. These are not cribs. I want to get rid of that glare. I want to throw in some Daphne in this one too. Now they've been in there for a little while, so I'm actually expecting these guys to come out more once they see that there's Daphne in here. See if we can get a little shot. These are Crud, I don't even have my memory locked in this pair here. I've already forgotten. These are not regular cribs, but these are the oh, the male's coming out. He's coming around the corner. He wants to see. I've always even the regular cribs Provinces Pulcher. In my opinion, the females are more beautiful. I don't know what's so special about that pair. I think it's the camera. They're camera shy. They're not accustomed to the camera. That must be it. Sometimes the female will disappear for a couple days at a time. And then she'll be out right at the front of the glass. Here he comes. My camera's... Oh, there's the female. See in the back? Hold on. I'm trying to get a zoom in, but I don't think that's going to work. There he is. I don't think I can zoom in. Here she comes. She's a pretty fish. So I'm hoping to breed some of these. I've had enough success with the dwarf cichlids that I'd like to try some of these West Africans. But I don't want to just raise cribs because it doesn't make any sense to raise a fish that they're a dime a dozen. I'd rather raise something that I'll be able to find plenty of customers for. She came out and went back, huh? She's camera shy. But the draw of Daphnia, it's hard to resist. Well, I hope you all had a great evening. I was a little surprised to be photobombed, video bombed tonight with Mr. Z showing up. That was a surprise, but it all works out. He really is quite exuberant and loves to talk about his passions. Oh yeah, same rock decor, I know. What I've learned after doing some research is that there, like in the West African cichlids and even the epistogramma, I've got 2-volume books of all the different epistogrammas, and the ones you see in the hobby are just scratching the surface. There are so many. There are tons. There are many species, but only a few find their way into the hobby. I guess some individuals go out and do collecting, and they might bring back to their fish room something that's a little unique, something you don't normally see all the time. Ray Aquatics is asking about the Lucipinus. Yeah, I know, Lucipinus. We call them Lucy's for short. If you said Lucy's, I'd know exactly what you're talking about. Mr. Malik at Aqua Malik, and I just refer to them as the Lucy's. Lucipinus is a Cenodontist that is, they look very much identical to the Petricola, but they just don't grow very big. They grow much smaller, supposedly. And the ones that you see in the fish trade. I don't know if anybody is really breeding them or growing them, I should say, to the larger size. So it seems like most of them really are Lucipinis, but they are all being sold as Petricola. Question is, I have mine in a 20-gallon long, and I've got about 8 or 9 in there, the colony. You need to have a good number of males and a few females. Males are always what's key, just like quarries. You need to have some good males that will just kind of push the females into breeding. And I use just tap water, 78 degrees, and pretty much they like stability. So the key with them is when you change the water, don't change a lot of water. 20% is all you should change at a time. And the reason is because, again, like the babies I was explaining to you, the fry, large water changes for them make them go crazy, but they are super, super, super sensitive to chlorine. So if you're putting tap water without any chlorine remover, you'll know it. They start acting crazy, jumping up and jerking around and looking like, they're in their death throes. That's what happens. Somehow their bodies are super sensitive. The chlorine hits their gills and they can't breathe or whatever it is. So immediately you should make sure you're conditioned water. So always use, changing their water, always use aged water. If you change with aged water, you can do larger water changes because it doesn't seem to affect them. But if you've got like the kind of water out of my tank that's been just tap water, they don't do well with that. They need to, so what I do is smaller water changes at a time. And if the water has been around a while, in other words, they're not the kind of fish that seem to object to old water. They seem to do great. So it's kind of the opposite of most fish. You need to do water changes for some fish. I mean, if you had discus, you're going to be changing the water like lots of water changes, right? Well, we've been sitting here, and these guys haven't really come out. I think they're camera shy. Here she comes. She'll make a showing in the back there. Let's see if she comes to the front. Oh, yeah. Oh, take a Daphne and run back. Well, that's it for tonight. I want to thank everybody for all your support. Thank you very much for all you do on the helping side. Tonight was just a chance. I really wanted to have an opportunity to share with you something that was a good revelation, a good breakthrough. And I don't know if you picked up on what that breakthrough was, but I'll tell you in a nutshell. It was the fact that black rams, when they are making transition from free swimming to eating, need to be fed a lot of small microworms and vinegar eels for much longer than I had been doing before. And then when they grow to a sufficient size, then introduce a little bit, very small amounts of brine shrimp until you're positive that they can eat the brine shrimp. That way you don't starve them to death, because if they're not big enough to eat the brine shrimp and you change over to brine shrimp thinking they are, then that's your mistake, and there'll be big die-offs at that time. I've lost whole batches, and in retrospect I think that would have been the biggest help if I had known to keep them on the microworms for much longer. And it's so easy to do. So I thought tonight I would just demonstrate how I feed them. I got a little distracted when I was trying to explain it a time or two because of the little helper, but we got all help the younger ones, and in this case, somebody who has a keen interest in not just fish, but being a YouTube content provider. And he's only 7, but he really is anxious about that. Thank you very much, Sandy. You are there. And I guess you heard Mr. Z earlier. He was asking, are there any women on the channel? I said, yeah, Sandy's out there. So, yeah, it's just a great opportunity to be together again on a Friday night. And I'm hoping that by the weekend, my memberships, for those who are desirous, just so you know what I'm going to include, I already have put together some videos, special videos, and they're very detailed videos, and they go behind the scenes in the sense that you're watching, here, like tonight, I'm showing you this, I'm showing you that. It's kind of a big overview, right? But there's more to that, right? There's a lot more to it. There's the things that happen in the background, like, okay, the little details of what I go through, and so those have been filmed in little pieces, and those little pieces will be released to the members, and they will, for those interested. So I'll let you know what subjects get released, so you'll know if you're interested in, then that will just be a little extra. I find it to be, it's not as, it's kind of elaborate, so that's the kind of thing that I don't think everybody would be interested in. I don't know. So we shall find out. And thanks again to the usual crew like Jeff, Sandy, Steve, Red Laser. And tonight we had some very interesting comments and feedback from somebody I haven't had an opportunity to interact with much, and that was Coralworks. Okay, welcome to our channel. And also Stillwater. I know you've been around before. You've come to them, but it was great to have you with us tonight, making comments. It's always very helpful. And Coralworks, he has given us some things to mark in the notes. Nanochromis transvestitus. I don't even know how to say it exactly. And now that I've revealed those fish, I'll put the name right on the tank, so next week I can just, maybe it'll just roll off my tongue. But I sure wish there was a common name for some of these fish. They're beautiful fish, and I certainly hope not to lose them. I've not been successful in breeding some of the fish that I've acquired. I picked up 6 actual, you remember, not the red-shouldered variety, but it was the regular ones. It was a pistogramma. See, it's too late now in the evening time. I can't remember. It's not coming to me. But I ended up with all males, and you get 6 fish, and they're all males. Well, there weren't any, I don't think there were any actual females in that batch. So, yeah, the person from South Africa, that was Jim Jones, wasn't it? With a name like Jim Jones, how could anybody, at least if you're my age, you would not remember from the 70s what happened with a name like Jim Jones. But in the end, he finally got to be able to connect to us tonight. So nice. And if you're watching on the replay, please hit the replay button. I'm going to take the section that we talked about tonight and condense it down. I have an editor now assisting me, and it's not Mr. Z, but I have an editor. Well, if it was Mr. Z, we would all end up with videos, and the commercials that would pop up would all be about the hedgehog. But yeah, so yeah, okay, still water. So you actually Kool-Aid. You actually must be closer to my generation to know that. Or maybe it's in the history books and everybody studies it. I don't know. But yeah, I got a video editor now, and so we'll see what takes place. So the section we talked about tonight, which was about the Walter worms, we're going to make that into a video. Have to do some serious editing, I think. And SNR from Netherlands. Oh yes. So there was. I may have missed some people, and I'm sorry if I missed you and you're with us. We've got 25 people on, and more than that in the thumbs up category. So it's been an awesome evening. Thank you so much, and thank you for. And yes, yes. So Tom, if you want to go back and hit the replay, and I know you always do. So thanks. And there is we had our. If you missed the surprise guest speaker tonight, I'm sure he'll be a blast on your 72-inch. Good night, everyone, and get some rest and have a great weekend. I've got a lot of water changes to do this weekend and some activity to do, and so thank you again for all that you do in giving support. We will sign off now as Fish Easy, and thank you so much, but most of all, it's always the case and important to keep it real.